Hi everyone, this is Scott. Welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100. I do the Thursday videos here on this collab channel. My personal channel is called Cinerama, which is a shortened version of the photographic process called Cinerama, which was developed in the 1950s as a way to draw people in their homes away from their television sets and back to the movies, in case you were curious about that. This week's theme is Michael Douglas, and by coincidence I just happened to watch War of the Roses. I just happened to watch Romancing the Stone recently for a series I'm doing on Robert Zemeckis, but my favorite Michael Douglas film is War of the Roses. Is there a piece of lint on this? Yes, there was, sorry. Normally I try and keep the lens very clean on my camera. War of the Roses is a film that Michael Douglas co-starred in with Kathleen Turner and Danny DeVito, just like Romancing the Stone, except this time Danny DeVito was the director. It's about a married couple with a couple of kids that decide they don't want to be married anymore and go through a very, very bitter divorce. It's a very, very dark comedy. And certainly the best movie that Danny DeVito has directed. He did a comedy with Billy Crystal called Throw Mama from the Train. He did the biopic with Jack Nicholson called Hoffa. He also directed comedies like Matilda and Duplex with Ben Stiller and Drew Barrymore, and of course the infamous Death to Smoochie with Robin Williams and Edward Norton. I hope he makes another good movie as a director, but his last couple weren't very good, so I hope there's another War of the Roses in his career. And it's certainly a good Michael Douglas film. He's been good in a lot of stuff. We had reviews earlier this week of Falling Down and The American President, both of which I think are fine as well. But War of the Roses is definitely a favorite of mine. Lots of good, nasty humor in that. Now, I had a friend on YouTube here, someone who responds to my videos with frequency, does more video responses to the things that I do than anyone else. In fact, he did a video response to a couple of the videos I've done here on this channel. His name is Michael. His channel is called Red Chair. And he was talking about how if we were actual friends in IRL, as it were, sorry, if you were friends IRL rather than in IRL, that's redundant, that he would know a lot more about me. And he talked about how he wants to share personal things about himself with his YouTube viewers because he assumes people are interested in that sort of thing. Whereas I am the opposite. I am in fact under the impression that no one was really interested in me personally. They might be interested in what I have to say about certain movies because they like films and they like, they've been interested in that. But in terms of like, what my personal life is like and everything like that, I just get the feeling like no one really cares about that too much. At least very few people do. So I don't really talk about that too much. But if anyone is interested in knowing other things about me aside from what movies I like or don't like, this is the view out of my apartment. As you can see, there's another building right there. And it's a little difficult to see. There's a front street, but this is what's supposed to be a dining room, but it really isn't used as a dining room. There is my laptop right there. And there's the door to my bedroom, which has a grate in front of it because otherwise the cat will walk in and put dirty paw prints all over my sheets. That is the litter box. And over here we have some Lovestalker merchandise. This is a bag full of Lovestalker t-shirts, and these are boxes of Lovestalker DVDs, which I'm holding for my good friend Matthew until he has the opportunity to come to Chicago and get them. This right here is well, it's a TiVo basically, but I'm not a TiVo subscriber. I basically just picked this up at a thrift shop, and I thought maybe I'd try and hook it up one day to see if I could actually record anything off of cable on it, even though I'm not a TiVo subscriber. I don't know if that will work, but I'll try one day. There's some rather annoying construction going out on the back deck of my apartment, but aside from that, it is a very, very beautiful day today. Warm. It's like a high 60s, low 70s right now, which is great for October. It's warm and sunny. It's a beautiful day. There's the tattered American flag that's been up there for a while now, and this is my back deck. This is, of course, view at the back right here. And this is my refrigerator, so to speak, and let's avoid looking at all the dirty dishes in the sink. And let us proceed down the hallway there, the main hallway, and that is the bathroom right in there. And if we come in here, we will see the living room. And this is where I have my flat screen, which was a second-hand item. A friend replaced theirs and let me have their old one, which is great. And these are my infrared wireless headphones, which don't always work, but they're very convenient for watching a film and not disturbing anyone. There is my DVD collection right there. Those are some of the titles, as you might have seen in another video. And here, of course, is the primary titles right here. All the best stuff. The Fly, Forrest Gump, Heavenly Creatures, Jackie Brown, Citizen Kane, Batman Begins, Die Hard, and over here we have Kill Bill Volume 1, and Nixon, and Pulp Fiction, and Schindler's List, and Empire Strikes Back, and 12 Monkeys, and Y Tu Mamá También, and Unforgiven. Hope I got all that. Anyway, I'm just sort of rambling right now. That is my cable box right there, and then is my DVD player, and that is my old TV, which I will get rid of as soon as I get a cabinet that fits this new TV, which I've actually had for a while now. And that's the view out the front right there. This is a sunroom, which you're supposed to put plants and relax out there, but we're basically just using it as a storage room right now. It's rather messy. And this is where I sit when I watch films. So, that is, oh, here. Old VHS tapes right here. As you can see, some of the titles are similar. There's my old tape of Forrest Gump, which I can record over now, and here's my old Angel Heart, which I can record over because I have the DVD of that. And here's The Matrix, which I had some fun basically with some of these labels here. As I would record these movies off of cable or wherever, I would do funny things with the labels. As you can see, I've labeled this The Matrix instead of simply The Matrix. So that is my home. Now, one of the things that Michael was asking about is that he was interested about the circumstances under which a person such as myself becomes a movie fan or a film buff, however you would choose to describe yourself. The truth of the matter is I don't really know, but I don't think anyone can really specifically say what leads to a certain passion. I just know that they have been things that I have enjoyed all my life. And I've enjoyed other things as well, such as books, television shows, video games were a thing for me back in the 80s, cars, action figures when I was a kid. Some of my interests will be kind of short-lived. In spring, I decided to do a what we call the L Challenge, which is in Chicago, basically. You can try and ride the entire L system, run through every single stop on all like 5 or 6 lines of the elevated trains here in Chicago in as short a time as possible. And the record is just under 9 hours, and I did it in like 9.5 hours. So I thought, well, that was pretty good. I'm not sure I want to do it again. But I'd actually videotaped a whole bunch of stuff of me doing that and never really put it online anywhere. So maybe I'll put that up one day, but I don't know. According to my mom, she took me to my first movie, which was The Rescuers, a Disney animated film. On the day Elvis Presley died, they actually announced it over the radio as we were coming home from the show. And after that, it was, of course, Star Wars. And I talked a little bit about this recently. With Back to the Future, some of the films that I enjoyed when I was a kid, they were more or less chosen for me by my parents. The most family-friendly stuff. Ghostbusters, E.T., Star Trek, Superman, of course. Superman was very family-friendly. But around 1986, I started to think more independently. I came across an advertisement in a newspaper, which was about a movie called Sky Bandits. And this movie basically had an advertisement which showed a couple of young guys hanging from the end of a rope which was tethered to a Zeppelin, a giant balloon vehicle that was way up in the sky. So it was this low-angle shot of the two of them hanging on for dear life on this rope, at the bottom of this rope, from this air vehicle. And I thought, well, that looks really exciting. The advertisement was on a Sunday. It says it's opening Friday. Well, when Friday came, I looked in the newspaper and I didn't see anything about it. So I looked the next Friday, didn't see anything. I looked the next Friday, didn't see anything. The movie was eventually released, and just sort of like, I just kind of missed it. But I got in the habit of reading the newspaper every single Friday to see what movies were coming out and read the reviews. And then I started getting into the habit of going to the library and looking through old newspapers for movies that I'd already seen and reading the reviews about them. And I was surprised by how many of the movies I enjoyed were hated by critics. Like, for example, View to a Kill, a Bond movie that I really liked and watched many times on cable, was not well liked by critics. But in the ensuing years, I started to get more interested in films and what went into them and what constituted a good film or not. And, of course, in around 1990, I turned 17, and so I was legally able to go and see R-rated movies, even though many people that I knew were already going and no one cared. I was, scared of defying authority, and so I only just started going at around 16 or 17. I just sort of explored a lot that way. And, of course, I had friends who would recommend films to me. They're like, "What, you haven't seen The Goonies? What's wrong with you? That's a classic movie." Or they'd show me old horror movies or just stuff that, I wasn't sure was okay for me to watch. And eventually I got over my fear of seeing films that my mom and dad would not approve of. Took a little while, but I got there eventually. When I was a kid, I've always been kind of a daydreamer. Really unable to focus. I wasn't great in school. I got like sort of average grades, kind of B's and C's and the occasional D. Because my mind just wanders a lot. It's very, very difficult for me to concentrate on something that I'm not interested in. I was trying to learn a computer program for a possible job. I was going through the whole training program. You have the training program that's built in the software. I just couldn't concentrate on the thing for more than a few minutes at a time. It was awful. I'm just sort of predisposed to not being able to think about things that I'm not interested in. Whereas film and that kind of thing, I think about that all the time. I have dialogue and scenes and shots and bits of music running through my head constantly. Very difficult for me to turn it off. I've never been married. I'm living with two other adults, basically. We're all roommates. This apartment I've lived in for like 14 years now. It's a good space. It's roomy. And I'd very much like to live on my own at some point. I just feel that would be, ideal. But it's a matter of affordability. It's a convenient situation like this, so I'm okay with it for now. Although it's not an ideal situation, I'm okay with it. What else? No, I'm not adopted. I have one younger brother, and as far as I know, we are both the biological kids of our parents. My parents are divorced. My dad lives in Florida. My mom lives in a neighboring suburb to where we grew up. The house we grew up in, we moved to when I was a year old, and my brother was born a couple years later. And each of us lived in that house until after we had graduated school and went out to live on our own. My brother's been married since 2001 to a lovely girl named Krista, who we met in college. They live in Colorado, as I think I mentioned. One of my closest friends, his name is Matthew. He is the co-director of Lovestalker, of course. He and I have known each other since grade school. We were in plays together. That's one, I guess, significant thing that I never mentioned is that I used to be an actor in school and in short videos that we'd make, that kind of thing. We had a VHS camcorder when we were in high school, and we would shoot short things that eventually got more and more elaborate and took longer than just a single afternoon to put together. So there's sort of a performance aspect to me talking on camera on YouTube. A little preparation that I do is not really scripted, but I sort of have some idea as to what I'm going to say rather than just talk off the top of my head for a few minutes. Though I do tend to ramble. And one thing I have trouble with YouTube videos is figuring out exactly when to stop and when to wrap up and exactly what to say to wrap up. Which I know I should do soon because the battery is running low on this camera and I don't know how much time I have left on it. So that is the basics, I guess. I could talk about my favorite writers or authors, I guess. I don't know, it just seems like a whole other video. I should do a Q&A, I guess, for my 500 subs. I'm 2 subs away from getting 500 people at this point on my personal channel. So for those of you who have watched and want to know more about me, yeah, head on over to my personal channel and send me a message, leave me a comment, something like that. But I'll probably do a Q&A video over there inviting people to ask questions about me if there's stuff I want to know, if there's stuff they want to know about me. And if you don't want to know anything about me, I don't know why you're watching this far into the video, but thanks anyway. And of course, we've got another theme on the collab channel coming up tomorrow. So I hope you'll tune in for that, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you. And thanks again for your interest, Michael. You're a good pal. See ya.